Just a few days ago, we took perhaps our mutual experience in first interaction with Within Temptation's Bleed Out, and as promised there, we would return imminently, which is the purpose of today's video, in that we have the visualizer now, which, as I noted in that previous entry, was set to debut a couple of days later. And I did debate again originally, on intention of how I wanted to go about this, whether or not to postpone interaction, but because I love Within Temptation so much ever since I was first introduced around like 2 years ago or so, just an independent perusing of, hey, humor and European talents, before I brought it more so to this channel in terms of musical coverage survey. I just was surfing around, right? And Within Temptation came through, and I've been a fan ever since. The application of their instrumental scores, along with such brilliant vocal delivery, and of course the glamorous, and certainly who needs no introduction, Sharon Donato, her talents speak for themselves. The execution, as somebody who has a beloved favorability with symphonic metal, not just being a long-standing metal fan of many years, and one who has taken special focus in the European rock and metal territory because it is just so triumphant, but anything with atmosphere, depth, and orchestral presence, that's really struck a chord with me in terms of what I favor as common repeat listens, even more so just beyond Within Temptation. Many of the groups I've chosen to spotlight here and have the honor of recognizing and perhaps sharing with you for a first-time experience in the symphonic direction have just elated me so much. And Within Temptation, I love covering them because their music just has such a resonance to it, whether it be, again, on the execution of the music or the vocal delivery or the narrative. And I went into in both occasions, yes, I'm getting ahead of myself. I went into Bleed Out thinking, by comparison to past mutual experiences we've taken, whether it be to, I would say, for example, Don't Pray For Me in consideration, and like it, Wireless, we would be dealing with a number that would have such a strength on execution. And on promise, right, it boasts the same potential as Wireless, where there was a real strength communicated with that song that I truly connected with on behalf of, I think, again, there's a bit of a diverse perspective in how we approach the video and what we get out of it, especially on the visualizer quality. It just spoke to so much, but the song as well. For me, resonance with the plight of veterans. Similar to how this song goes about the plight of human rights, equality issues surrounding women in Iran specifically. That's what this song is driving at in themed thesis, if you're not familiarized to it. And this is perhaps a first introduction for you. Maybe you've waited to take that visualizer journey with me. But I really feel just in the numerous listens I've given this song since our first interaction, and it was so captivating, again, on that original debut, but really taking the song in, studying not only its structure, but its lines, its narrative. That vision is so effectively communicated with such brilliance. For example, that She Bleeds Out line, that still stands out to me. Not just on the emotional pathos connection to the piece, but 3 words just brings in so much in terms of illustration of the main philosophy of the song, on the history even. There's this embodied tragedy communicated with a song that has this drive of empowerment. It's just, I feel it's a perfect marriage and intersection between those two types of emotions that's just communicated again so effectively. So to now pair a visualizer, which did a lot of the heavy lifting for Wireless, right? You didn't have just a brilliant song there, you had such a worthy compliment that really expands the vision. I would imagine for Bleed Out, again, we're going to continue that same scenario with now accompanying a visualizer to a piece that we've enjoyed at first taste too. And maybe certain thoughts that I've expressed previously, more so that original video was a analysis of the song, they might come back in here. We might take some review points to task. But this is very much a survey of the visual that we now have, to see Bleed Out's story told in front of us. Not just for our ears, but for our eyes as well. And I'm sure it'll be just as revered of a scene to take in as much as Wireless was. Again, that number, I keep coming back to it in reflection. And Bleed Out, I think, is the same potential. Totally different tone and part. This is a little bit of a softer song of a fun metal drive in times. It does shift around in mood, though, in expression. It has this expansion that, again, I crave and I see readily with the symphonic metal atmosphere. It's why it's of such potent regard for me. But Within Temptation's command just entices me as always. And to share in the experiences of you, which I've said many times, music is better enjoyed in company. Especially when we're taking perhaps first impressions. Now, with this one, I'm informed on the music, right, but not the visualizer. We're going to enjoy that together, but maybe you've not yet been introduced to Within Temptation. This is your first experience with them. Dutch symphonic metal, again, just for entrance on you. And I think you're going to be quite thrilled if you've never experienced them before. If you're perhaps a metalhead or a rock fan by choice, or just generally, maybe you're not necessarily that specified. If you're just into good art and you welcome experiences of an open heart, to humor such. You're going to have that with Within Temptation. Take it from faith on me. Let's initiate, though, with this visualizer, and again, see the story bleed out told for ourselves, beyond just in musical form. It was so brilliantly captured there. Let's add this whole other feel to the song. I'd imagine, yep, with the same AI realization. Which is much more finely tuned. Boy, we're improving our technology fast, aren't we? This is so smooth, different from wireless, and other visualizers I've seen in the same model. You know, I might have mixed thoughts on AI, but I'd say Sharon turning herself into an algorithm of sorts is actually kind of working. Oh, this context is so interesting. Much more fantastical than I thought. Takes on a bit of a different direction of what the song is speaking to, but the layering works. I will give credit to the fact that this really expands the creative picture and imagination that maybe would not be as best told in live action. I think AI is still working though on mouth movements. It's close. It makes it a tad bit small to be believable. At least in part. Some utterances seem realistic. Tonally, it's still just beautiful on a second entrance of all of you. This song just has an incredible resonance to it. It's bearing how it harkens back into history, and that overall theme is perfect. It amazes me what people can do in terms of technological innovation. I mean, we might still have room for improvement as I voice, but this is... This is an incredible scene to take in. Just look at the detail work of the fire and how it meshes again with the other images and the colors. Like a gaseous black. So pretty to look at. Admittedly, if I did not know going in, and this was my first experience with Within Temptations Bleed Out, I would think it wouldn't even dawn on me that this is speaking of, again, the Middle Eastern human rights plight. So, equality issue, I think it's better. Well, it's kind of an intersection. You wouldn't get that from the song because it is deeply fantastical. This is a little more conceptual and, to my knowledge, independent. Though, again, it might have, at least in some of the imagery, it reflects a historical feeling. It takes this deep imagination. It just surprises me, the finesse on AI art and how quickly we're accelerating. I mean, again, I have mixed thoughts on the use of AI. I'm not that fond of the prospect of bringing it into my life, which is why I seldom use it when I have access. I don't use it for search engines. I don't really use it on my phone even. I'm skeptical of integration, but if we could limit it at the very least to artistic application, this is fine, at least in my opinion. Just how fast, though, it's improving. Think back to wireless, for example. Remember how, and I like the visualizer, I'm not trying to speak ill of this, and you can still see it in reflection here. Remember how choppy the imagery was and just kind of floated from one scene to the other? Like the frame rates were kind of erratic. This just meshes from one image to the other. And I'd imagine, again, because of the way this is intended, this was probably filmed as a green screen collection first, because you've got the band entirely here performing, and it's more so, I would think, I've not seen any behind the scenes information, but just from my presumptive standpoint of what could be, I would think there was an AI interface employed after to give it, again, this type of imagery, especially on the fantastical images. That is particularly an AI construction, but like on the band side, this comes across to me as green screen interwoven. But the finesse on the imagery, even again with the erratic transformation of different images, the finesse is improved dramatically. Each scene just feeds right from one into the other. This is not what we've seen before on different entries. Let's say, for example, not just within Temptation, other AI music video art explorations. Set the Sun, Amaranth, both of those also had a bit of a choppier edit style. And again, I like the pieces. I'm not trying to speak ill of them. In the same way I'm referencing wireless. It's just not even in that much time we've improved. Again, in review, I might think, do we let the genie out of the bottle? Because it's kind of too late now with AI. But if we could rein it into just maybe arts application, I'd say it's fine. I'd love to see more done in the AI space with this. Because the artistic pictures are different from expectations, certainly. This takes on, like I said, more of a fantasy appearance. I thought this would be a little more realistic and, again, to the bearing of what the original song was intending to explore, but it's different. I welcome it, though. I think it's quite interesting. It definitely adds on a fresh new layer to a song that already was just so exquisite on beauty. In our first entrance, I haven't forgotten at all of how good that original piece was. And to add on something new to enjoy it again, fun experience. And to do so with you, even better. I'd love to hear your opinion expressed down below. Maybe that was your first entrance to Bleed Out. Again, it's such a memorable piece, in my opinion, and beautifully explores, again, its theme expertly. But I'd love to hear maybe your thoughts on both, right? If it's just, in particular, again, I welcome the company of everybody, whether it happens to be long-time Event Temptation fans that sure exceed me in terms of my fellowship and awareness of this group and entertaining them, or first entrances, right? Whatever your standpoint you come from, I'd love to hear down below what your thoughts are, whether it be on the song, if this was your first entrance, or maybe a repeat occurrence like me. For many of us, I'm sure it'll be a first time with the visualizer. Whatever your thoughts are, feel free to chime in down below. I welcome conversation. I'm looking forward to our next opportunity with Event Temptation to cover them again. I'm sure it'll be fun. Will it come along with this new AI art complement? I don't know. I mean, the last two videos have done that. Maybe this is how we're going to see music videos from the band from now on, that all performances will be communicated through the digital algorithms. I find that funny, but, hey, room for originality. And Within Temptation has the regard on this channel of being the first ever AI art integration into the music world, and on wireless, I thought it impressed. With Bleed Out, exact same response. Different direction from what I intended in terms of its fantasy imagination, and yet equally mesmeric. And an improvement. It amazes me, again, how quick we are developing with technology. It's nuts. But the finesse in this number, remarkable. The development, again, of the color explorations and how the images are translated and how it just changes in such strict detail. But it's so natural and flow. Incredible work of art here. To the credit of Temptation, who have long pleased me, and I would imagine, I don't like to speak for anybody, of course, but for many of you, I'm sure it'll be the same response. I love covering this group and just exploring them with you. A delight to humor. Thank you so much for watching this video. Before you bounce, feel free to drop a like and comment, subscribe to this channel with a ding on the bell, and share this video with your friends. And consider checking out the description here. There you'll find links to my other channels, as well as addresses to my other social media accounts and ways you can help support my work if you feel so inclined. May God bless you, and looking forward to when our paths cross again.